young for Korean American Story and Not Your Average. Today I am sitting down with my new friend, Ellie Lee. Hey, Ellie.
Hi.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
And Ellie was on a plane this morning, coming back from LA.
I was, but I'm here, alive and well.
And cheers.
Oh, cheers, cheers.
This is not water.
This is not water. She is not playing, guys, all right? She is not playing.
All right, let's start a little bit back in the beginning.
Okay.
Born in Jersey.
I was born and raised in Bergen County, New Jersey. My dad, mom, younger brother, younger sister. People are like, oh, you're the oldest? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh, you don't seem like it. And I'm like, okay, no one asked you. I have a younger brother, younger sister. My dad has been in the retail business for a long time. My mom went to FIT. So there's always been like clothing, fashion. I did like little kid modeling in New York City, you know, walking down the runway. I cried too much, I got kicked out. But whatever, it's fine. I'm doing okay. I grew up in a family of retail in New Jersey.
So I read this, there was a blog that I found, and I think you were like a guest post on it, and I think it was called like Ugly Duckling or something like that. Yeah, and you're talking about how when you grew up, you had basically the experience of being this, how would you
I was
describe it?
very quiet and very timid and very shy. I had a group of 4 other Korean girls. We would call each other the Spice Girls. And in that group, I was the quietest. I never said anything. I was always in the back. I was so shy. I was like public speaking. Like, I don't know when I was like 8 or 9, but just speaking in front of a group and stuff like freaked me out. And then as I got older into middle school, I'll never forget it. There's this girl, Lauren. She was the most popular girl in 7th grade. And everything about her, I was like awed by her. I was like, oh my gosh, like you have like a nice body and you know how to wear makeup and you wear cool stuff. And she and I were partnered up in a math class together. And I was so nervous in her presence. I was so nervous of like being judged and like all this stuff that I remember she held her hand in class and she was like, can I get another partner because my partner doesn't speak? And I remember after that happened where I was like, okay, it needs to change because I don't like feeling like this and I'm not gonna let somebody make me feel like this. So that's when I think really started coming out of my shell and really just, I all of a sudden I was like louder, I was more boisterous, I was saying more things, and then it just snowballed into what you're seeing now.
No, that's amazing. But so you say you grew up and you always knew you wanted to be a host?
Yeah, I think it hit me when I was in high school, really, because I grew up in the day and age of TRL. During the early 2000s, I guess late 90s, early 2000s, that was the show. And Carson Daly was the host of it, and MTV had a thing about VJs, which were video disc jockeys, and these were people who host these shows, and I would watch and I'd be like, that's what I want to do. Like, that is amazing, that's something that I want to do. And I remember I was really good at giving class presentations in my history class. I just loved speaking in front of people and controlling whether or not I was going to make them laugh or not, whether or not I was going to keep them engaged. I liked that whole challenge of it. And I remember I asked my history teacher for a college recommendation, and she said no because I wasn't a good student. I said no, but I want to be in TV. She's like, oh, for that I'll write it. Because she saw that I had potential in this. So it was something that I've always strived for, I've always wanted to be, and yeah, I've done a lot in it.
So then after MTV Korea, is that when you went to VH1?
Yes. I auditioned for VH1 for 4 excruciating months. At that point, I had been dog walking. At that point,
and they're the same company, like
right, yeah, I know. And so at that point, I was hitting a time where I was like, oh, this hustle is really weighing on me. If I don't hit something that's gonna change my life in some way, I don't know how long I can do this for. And so when VH1 was happening, I remember, I'll never forget this, I went to this audition and I walked in and there was this super cute Latina girl and there was this really pretty white girl, and as I sat down, the white girl went in to go audition and the Latina girl was sitting there, and she, oh my god, everything about it was cute, you know, like her hair was fine, she looked fine, the clothes were fitting, and she was like, oh my god, she's like, if I knew that this was going to be run so late, I would have done my hair. And I'm like, oh my god, your hair looks so cute though. And I'm just looking at her, I'm like, that's what they probably want, you know, like why, I'm like looking at my reflection, I'm like, why would they want me? I'm like, you know, like just why would they want me? And I remember texting my younger brother and I said, I'm freaking out. I was like, I should leave. I don't need to be here. And he this is what he said to me. He said, dude, you're there for a reason. You know, you made it there for a reason. You just have to be yourself and show them. And I was like, and as soon as he said that, I was like, oh yeah, like this girl may be cute, but like I'm bringing something that she's not. And so my job is to be myself and make sure that these people are on the same vibe. If we're on this, if you don't get me, it's not gonna work out, right. You know? Yeah. So I went to that audition and they made me do the craziest things. Oh my God. I mean, this was the longest audition, on-camera audition I had ever had. They were like, okay, you're on a red carpet, okay? Oh, here we go. Okay, Jennifer Lopez is coming down the carpet. What are you asking her? So it's like they wanted to test, like, are you up on your pop culture? Do you know these celebrities, you know? And they were like, okay, now we're gonna go through around 20 slides of all these celebrities in Halloween costumes, and we want you to riff on them. And so I'm just like, okay, I'm not a comedian, but okay, let's go. And so it was like, it was just different things. And they're like, okay, now read this script and do this and do that. And so I left feeling really good about it. Like I felt really good about it. Long story short, 4 months later when they called me and they were like, we want you. Like I literally felt like, okay, this is the push that I needed, because if this didn't pan out, I would have probably bowed out in some way. It's just like, sometimes it's just not worth so much emotional stress. And I'm very always stressful. And so this industry is not good for people like me, because it's just not. And so this was the next step. And I later learned that I was up against a girl that had a huge following, that was blonde, and there were people pushing for her. But the other people that really pushed me forward and said, no, we want this girl, were people who just watched me and they enjoyed me. And like, also they loved the fact that I wasn't like a white girl, you know? And so VH1, I always say this, like nobody talks about this, but like the fact that VH1 invested in an Asian American woman, that's never happened before, felt like really meant a lot to me. That it wasn't about, they weren't looking at this, they were just looking at talent, and it wasn't about the fact that I was Asian. And then I ended up getting that.
That's awesome. Okay, so yes. iHeartRadio.
Okay. So Viacom at this point had let go a lot of people and I was destitute. I went back to zero. I was at the point where I was living the life. Like I was making decent money, I was getting clothed, I was getting my hair and makeup done, I was doing live shows on JetBlue airplanes in the sky, and then I went down to nothing. And I didn't have a lot of money saved. I couldn't afford to live in my apartment with my friends anymore. I had to move out. I moved into a 5-girl apartment in Brooklyn with like no heat in my room, and I was devastated. I had hit a breakdown. I went to LA to go see my manager, and I was driving and I had a breakdown because I was like, who wants me? Like I thought VH1 was gonna be my next 3 years. Yeah. It was gonna launch me into the next thing. But when Viacom, the massacre happened, it wasn't that. And so I was like, I didn't know what was gonna happen. And so it taught me so much about never taking things for granted, learning how to survive when you're so broke. I literally emailed people I used to walk dogs for after I had lived this luxury, whatever. Right. And I was like, hey, looking for some side gigs. And I ended up, this is no joke, I ended up writing dog food, cat food reviews for Jet.com. And that's how I made money for like 6 months. And this is in between all of these things. So, but I think that God, the universe, whatever, makes it hard sometimes, so you learn a lot of things. And I learned a lot of things, and it humbled me, and it made me feel like, okay, I can get through things, like I understand what it's like I understand that in the grand scheme of things, I'm not a big deal. I think, who am I, But I think it's about knowing that about yourself is a really good place to be. Like Constance Wu, shout out to Constance Wu, who I think is such a badass. She said this thing in this interview that like blew my mind. She said she literally came from nothing. She doesn't have a relationship with her parents at all, her family at all. And she says, if tomorrow all of this Hollywood stuff went away, if I lost fresh off the boat, if no one was calling me, she's like, I would be so fine, because I know I have been to where it has been alone and just that dark, lonely place. And the fact that she survived and she can say that is the most badass thing. That's some like Lucy Liu, Kill Bill, decapitate your head stuff,
Yeah.
And so hearing something like that, I'm like, yes. And I think even though the past X amount of years have really been hard on me, like emotionally, like I'm not gonna cry, not cry.
It's okay if you do.
Emotionally
It's okay if you
has
do.
been really hard on me.
Yeah.
I think it's just you doubt yourself, you're broke, like you don't know what the next thing is gonna be. It's like this constant thing of just like comparing yourself to everybody. And so it has taught me a lot about survival. And like I know that like I can get through things because I have been at a very low place.
Yeah.
And
Okay, so one of the things I love about you, amongst many, is that you're open about this.
Yes.
And you're not afraid. You know, so much of if you're in the media, is about appearances.
Yeah.
And always being perfect.
Yeah.
And always like, so like your Instagram and like stuff like that. I love that you, like when you're having a bad day, you know, or whatever, you're not afraid to share it and you're real about it, because I think that so many people who just, you know, are on the outside looking in at this world think it's this perfect, like you said, luxury, like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But there's so much about it that's hard and ugly and not so luxury and glamorous and whatever. And so I think it's so important for people to be real about it.
Yes, I agree.
So I thank you for doing that.
Thank you for letting me do that.
So what do you do when you're in those places? Like, how do you get through it?
The biggest thing that I suffer from is I'm always like, okay, what's next? How am I gonna top this? Because she's doing that, so like, what do I need to do?
Comparison game.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think it's about like all the little victories. Like really think about all those little things that you did to get to where you are now. And like that in itself is the win. And so I always go back to, okay, it's okay.
It's about the process.
You're still doing this, you know, you're still getting paid, like you're still good, don't worry about it. And you're just evolving and growing, which I feel like I'm really doing in my life, like as a woman. I feel really as if growing up as a very Christian, you know, Christian, Korean, conservative, living in a very tight bubble, and now being on my own, I'm just like, whoa, self-love, wait a minute, I gotta do this, I need to work on this. So I think for myself, I'm really embracing the fact that I'm becoming somebody that I want to just like keep, you know, carving and making better and stronger, because there's just so much to discover, I guess.
Yeah. And it's a journey. It's about the journey, right?
Yes. Okay, iHeartRadio. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So all this stuff. So guys, you know, things started really happening after that. I was like, Wendy Williams called, and they were like, we want you to do entertainment segments with her, and I was doing live TV with Wendy Williams, and then I was doing things with People and People Style, and I was doing things on Amazon and auditioning, and so I've consistently been working on all these small gigs and all these things that, you know, have really, you know, got me to the next place. And with iHeartRadio, I had met with the VP over there of the digital team. The digital host there had left, and so she was like, I want you to fill this role. And again, it's just about, I'm a female and I'm a minority, and just the fact that they're doing that is so cool to me too. And so I'm with iHeartRadio, and I do all their video, you know, YouTube content. So I get to interview a lot of music artists, and I'm up on all the music, and I go to all these iHeartRadio Jingle Ball, these huge events, and I get to see, you know, what it's like, and I talk to all these, you know, young kids. Oh my God. I'm like, man, I am old, okay? I am old.
Well, Ellie, thank you so much for stopping by today. Cheers.
Cheers.
I wish you so much more success, and we'll be watching.
Yes.